This week, we're wondering which PlayStation console had the best launch lineup. Join us as we go all the way from PlayStation 1 to 5, discussing and ranking the first year of games released for each on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan. Joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
I'm going to apologise off the bat straight away if my voice sounds a bit raspy, if my voice sounds like it is losing the will. I am a bit laid up, but you know, nothing that a good hour and a bit of podcasting won't fix, Hunter. That's what they say, you know.
Yep, talking for an hour definitely will fix all respiratory issues.
Every time.
Told me so.
Every time, dude. And an hour of podcasting a day keeps the doctor away. Yeah, we'll see. I hate something about obviously being having an auditory medium like podcasting. There's nothing worse than when it's your throat that's the problem. Like literally, if it's anything else, stomach's off, bit of a headache, anything else, who cares? I'll just pretend and waddle through it. Your throat, you can't hide it. The rasps come out. You start, you get all kind of slimy. You can just tell. It's always a nightmare.
That's the lucky thing, I suppose, for me, is that I've just had the tuberculosis so ingrained into my physiology that it's hard to tell when it happens to me.
You just have the raspiness built in. It's
Yeah.
It's you've got to respect it. You've got to respect it. But alas, we'll keep trucking on. We hope you guys are doing well. This week, I don't remember how long. It was a while ago. We did an episode that you guys seem to like where we went through all of Nintendo's home console launches and determined which was best. And this time
why it wasn't the Switch 2.
And this week we're doing the same with PlayStation, which is a lot easier of a task because there's only 5 of them. But
yeah,
and we've also experienced all of them.
Tedious. Yeah.
We weren't alive for the PS1 coming out, but I've played a hell of a lot of PS1 games, so I can at least
there have
be a
at
bit more
least
useful.
been one of these machines in my household at some point in my life.
I think I've had at least 2 of every PlayStation in my household at some point, which isn't, a positive for the longevity of these consoles. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. We're going to go through from the PlayStation 1 all the way to PlayStation 5 and deem which console had the best launch lineup. So yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, first off, if you're new here, welcome on in. Gonna do that off the camera. Welcome back to the HGO podcast. We're here every Monday around 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services everywhere and youtube.com/hardgamersonly. And hey, if you've not been keeping up to date with what we've been doing recently, we've had a bunch of reviews and articles and all that jazz go up over this, busy season. So go check the website out, hotgamersonly.com, and the YouTube channel out at youtube.com/hotgamersonly. Go and see what we've been up to. There's plenty for you to go and digest from what we've been doing over the past couple of weeks and months. And hey, if you like what you're listening to when I don't have a rasp in my voice, then hey, why don't you leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or your favorite podcast service? We'd really appreciate it. And a subscribe on the YouTube channel goes a long way too. Hunter.
Yeah.
Coughing aside and, random breaks in my vocal cords aside, are we starting with the PlayStation 1? I feel like, what are the ground rules here? For people who didn't maybe check out the Nintendo episode, what are we defining as the launch period, okay? Because, some people will say launch year, some people will say launch day. What are we classing as the launch window here for PlayStation?
So I've went the full 12 months from launch day, when the thing comes out, to the same month the following year. If you made it inside of that month, you get grandfathered in, even if you're past the specific date, because let's not be annoying.
And to
This
be
time I've
clear, yeah.
refined it where I'm just for the games. I just looked at the North American releases this time, whereas last time I cross-referenced a bunch of things, and that made the research a lot more tedious. uh,
I mean, I think if we quote Jim Ryan, he said, "We hate everybody who isn't in America." So I think it's fine. I think that's PlayStation strategy currently.
I
So
still looked up the console releases for Japan and Europe's uh, release days at least, but I didn't bother with the games after that.
I mean, usually it was add anywhere from 1 to 4 months is usually the window of how long it took for a game to come to Europe. So it's like, for example, I know that it'd be like if it was a big game like a Crash Bandicoot or something like that, it'd be like 2 or 3 weeks. If it was something like a Square Enix RPG, Salu, we'll see you next year. Like it'll take a while. But
Yeah,
we're going off North America mostly, and it's all a bit of fun. If we, if we overlook something, if we miss something out, let us know in the comments. And if we're wrong, let us know in the comments too. But it's all a bit of fun, We're not here to make a definitive list, unless we are.
yeah.
Then fair enough. But I'm not going
uh,
to start a flame war. I think the Nintendo fans got angry enough. I don't. We'll let the PlayStation fans be. But yeah, this should be fun. Shall we start with the PlayStation 1, Hunter?
yeah, let's get started. So the PlayStation 1, first things first, its first release was in Japan on December 3rd in 1994. Um, Nearly a full year later, in September, was when it came to North America and Europe.
Yeah.
September 9th for North America, and then September 29th for Europe.
What I find really interesting is so I'm going to make a timestamp of that because I thought I muted my mic when I was coughing there. That's the beauty of live editing, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm.
Um, but yes, the thing I always find interesting is the PlayStation 1 in my head, Hunter, came out way earlier than I thought it did. Like I don't know why in my head I always pen it as like 96, like
Yeah,
maybe around
I
there.
always think of it as like when the like relatively comparable to the N64 coming out, rather
Yeah.
than well before it, because it's especially funny because like these days Nintendo's um the one who's like early to the new consoles all the
Mm.
time.
What I find really interesting is you know, back back in my day, and it's still to this, Nintendo's the only kind of company where you really don't know what Nintendo does what Nintendo wants to do, right? But it's
That's
like
true.
PlayStation for the most part was very much, you know, 5 or 6 years, and then it moved up from PS3 to PS4. It was like the seven, and now it's just the seven is the standard. It's the magic number. It was five, now it's seven, and it's
And
like,
sometimes it feels like it should be longer with the amount of juice they give you for that
yeah.
period of time.
Don't worry, Hunter. There are plenty of PlayStation 4 players that still have got enough value out of that purchase because, my goodness, they are still trucking along. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like 1994 is crazy to me because, yeah, when I think of when I think of iconic like PlayStation 1 games, right? When I'm sitting in my head and I'm going, what are iconic PlayStation 1 games? And I am thinking of the original Crash Bandicoot, Final Fantasy 7, Metal Gear Solid. I'm thinking of all of these like really iconic games.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when you look at it in retrospect, they're mid to mid
Mid to late.
late
Yeah.
generational games, and you're like, what? That in my head, I'm just like, nah. Everyone had, Crash Bandicoot was a launch game, and everyone was thriving. No, very much not the case. But what was the case, Hunter? What did we have for the PlayStation 1's launch year?
So what we have, um, I'm realizing now that I didn't order these particularly in a way that was important for this section. So what we have, I just went off of what I had on memory here.
Mm-hmm.
Twisted Metal,
Yeah.
the first one in September, along with Ridge Racer, the first Rayman, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Battle Arena Toshiden. I don't know how to say it exactly.
I think it's Toshiden.
Yeah, those were all like those were like the September launch kind of games that you got.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit later in November of 95, you got Tekken, the first one, and Jumping Flash, which not a very spectacular game by the looks of it, but it was a very early 3D platformer. One of those ones that gets unpersoned out of history by Mario 64 being the first 3D platformer.
Yeah. What do you mean? I believe it was Crash 1, Mario 64, and I think Sega had rendered Sonic in 3D at that point. I think that's what it was,
Yeah,
right? Bubsy 3D? Like, yeah. I think that's it.
yeah. So that covers the month period into 95 there. And then later on in the next year, you got Crash Bandicoot, first
Mm-hmm.
one in August, the first Resident Evil in April, and then Myst, not a game I've ever played, but that has like the puzzle sickos in a frenzy all the time. That game
Yeah, yeah.
came out in September. And those were like, I would say, the big ones of the following year, along with a couple of other things like Alone in the Dark and Kingsfield, which is only kind of retrospectively interesting because that was a FromSoft thing.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So
Like I
yeah,
say, I think the surprise comes from, you know, how many iconic PlayStation franchises either just started at the tail end of it or weren't even around. Like you say, Metal Gear not to be seen for a while, Tomb Raider not to be seen for a while.
yeah. Tomb Raider, I think, just barely missed the window. Like if I
Unlucky
remember
Tomb Raider.
correctly, the first one came out in like November or maybe October of '96, so it's just out of bounds.
But I think it's like what you got to remember is like one, there are quite a few here where you're just like, okay, I can see where the appeal's starting to run in. You know, you got your first Resident Evil, you got your first Crash Bandicoot, you've got Twisted Metal, you've got a lot of
Dude,
stuff
there was a lot
that's
of vehicle-based video games coming out in the early PlayStation 1. Twisted Metal, there was Destruction Derby,
Ridge
Warhawk was another.
Racer. Yeah.
Yeah, Ridge Racer, like a lot of vehicle-based chicanery going on with that console at the very beginning.
100%. And I think what you got to remember is that price when the console first came out and, you know, they basically just decimated the competition by just walking out on stage and being like, "Yeah, we're basically was it 199 or 299? I can't remember what
Oh,
is it
I don't
299?
remember anymore.
Original
Uh,
cost. This is like what was it? 299.
yeah,
Yeah, that was what it was. It was 299. They just walked on stage and just I just remember the very iconic moment from, you know, Sega had just announced how much their new console was going to cost. Was it the Dream? Was it the Dreamcast? No, it wouldn't have been the Dreamcast, would it? It would have been. I always get the Sega consoles mixed up. Was it Genesis
the Dream,
before Dreamcast?
the Genesis would have been with like the Super Nintendo, I think, though. I think the Dreamcast was the
Satan.
Sega.
Saturn.
Oh, right. Okay.
Saturn. And then the place just walks on stage at 299 and then walks away. And I'm just like, that's kind of how you gotta do it. Um, you know, they were very scrappy at the start, and it's like you do look at those games and you're like, is it an incredible launch lineup? It's definitely probably not the best year one of a PlayStation console, but for the entry
No, but
point and what it was
yeah, for being
doing,
the first thing, being the start of a lot of things that would go on to be way better, like like with Twisted Metal there. The first one was one I didn't really get to play all that much until when they put it back on the store a couple of years ago, and then I was like, "Oh, right, I forgot how weird this one is compared to the other ones where like certain things that you would think the would have just been the standard from the word go wasn't. Like the machine
Yeah.
guns that do the chip damage are just infinity.
Hmm.
When you in the other games, it's only a little burst fire thing that's kind of like on a cooldown in the first game. Real fascinating that way sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Or just, yeah, like say, first Resident Evil, first Crash Bandicoot. Like, it's like, games that definitely got better, as we went through the generation, but still those core, you know,
The foundation
the
was still
foundations
there.
were there. The first Rayman game, awful, awful video game. But man, the music and just the way that game looked, the way that like the fact that they were still like, and we will still have 2D games, and they'll look fantastic. It's again, it did such a great job of convincing people to invest in the platform and come on over. Rayman was literally like, "Hey, look what we can do here," and I'm sure there were plenty of people like Konami with Castlevania. They were like, "Look at this, we can do this stuff, and we can make it way cheaper than we can for N64.
Yeah.
Let's hop on that." Um, I would say it's like it's a solid like for the time, like obviously in retrospect, you're sitting there and you're going, "That's it." But at the time, I'd say that's a solid like B tier of lineup where I'm like, I can understand if I was like 16 in 1995, I'd probably be pestering my parents for a PlayStation. I could see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I could see it being, I think B tier is respectable for it as far as where it falls.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let's go with that then. There you go. Not bad. PS1, PSX, PlayStation, whatever you want to call it.
Dude, learning later in life that it was like that apparently sometimes it's abbreviated as PSX really confounded me. When I didn't know that until like middle school, and I was like, what does this mean? Why?
Why not, Hunter? Why not? Right. It's childhood time. PlayStation 2.
Yeah, moving on to the PlayStation 2.
My childhood, not yours, mine. My childhood. I was,
uh,
I'll have you know, Hunter. I was when this console came out. When did it come out, Hunter?
um, in Japan, it came out March 4th of 2000. North
Yes.
America was October 26th, 2000, and in Europe it was November 24th, 2000.
I can happily say to you, Hunter, that what when we were two, three, just about
3.
on that tipping point. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were just on that tipping point. I turned 3 years old when the PS2 came out. Um, and I was there on midnight, Hunter. Day one, I was in the queue. Looking forward to.
uh,
I don't know about you, Hunter. There's every I don't know. I'd like to say every 18 months to like 2 years. There's a video that shows up on my YouTube recommended, which is like recordings of people going to the midnight launch of the PS2. And I must have watched this video about 5 times, just going, wow, this is crazy. Look at them all queuing up, excited for the PS2. And then I just sort of think about, oh, where was I? And I'm like, Ethan, you were like 2 years old, like basically
yeah.
just turned three.
You're probably in bed.
Dude, yeah, I have no memories from when the PS2 came out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I spent so much of my childhood on the PS2. I love the PS2. Um,
Yeah, definitely. Like I got the PS2, like we had one in the household for a long time, but like it became mine during the PS3 era, which was a great time to have it because GameStop was just like two for buy two get one free for $10 kind of deals all the time. So it was just like, every holiday just suddenly six to anywhere from like 6 to 10 games just thrown at my lap.
dude, you know what I miss? And it's like, it's a very boomer take, dude. But I really miss when generations were a proper thing because it was like the amount of times where it was like, I remember playing so many PS1 games on the PS2 just because for the price of a PS2 game, you could still probably buy 3 or 4 PS1 games.
Yeah.
And so my parents, like, I shouldn't, theoretically, from when I was born, Crash Bandicoot 2 is older than me.
Yeah.
There should be no reason, really, for me to have played it, theoretically. But because the PS2 was backwards compatible, and my parents used to just buy me a ton of PS1 games as well, I just ended up playing all the original Crash Bandicoot and Spyro games and loving them. And it's like, I kind of miss that just because I miss the idea of just being able to, PS3's out, let me buy 9 PS2 games because it's the same price as Resistance on the PS3. Like, I just kind of miss
Yeah.
that. I wish
Yeah.
that it felt that way now. Now it's just the same 5 games are $10 that have been $10 since 2017.
Yeah. It's
Want to
a
buy
bit of a bummer
Skyrim
the way
again?
that.
Want to buy Skyrim again?
Yeah.
Not really. But yeah, it's a special console, the PS2. Um,
Yeah.
Heavy bias, but I don't care. It's my show.
Yeah, it's all right. So at the launch there was a solid lineup of a handful of games with Time Splitters, Tekken Tag Tournament, Ridge Racer 5. Ridge Racer is like the
Ridge
eh,
Racer.
for some reason that was just their launch lineup game for the first 3 generations of their series
and I
for their consoles.
genuinely think that the whole
If
Ridge
they
Racer
didn't
thing from the PS3 reveal event was the thing that killed it. That it
Yeah,
was
I think
like,
they would have
yeah,
probably done one for PS4 at
and
least
five forever.
after
They would have done it
I don't
forever. I
know.
think, yeah.
I don't know. PS5 is when they stopped having fun. So they might have killed it then
No, they'd
too.
still do it anyway. They'd still do it anyway just to annoy people. They'd be like, Japan Studio's dead, but guess what we have? Ridge Racer. And then, there you go.
And a couple of other games like Fantavision, Summoner, Street Fighter EX3, which was like the weird 2D Street Fighter game, but with the 3D models and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that about covers what you got from the small period of 2000 there. In 2001, yeah, video games just pop off pretty heavily in the year of 2001. Uh, the biggest release you would have had that year would have been Grand Theft Auto 3. And
Oh,
then,
just that little gem. It was just
yeah.
that little oddball. Yeah,
Yeah, and then you have other greats like Devil May Cry, Silent Hill 2, uh, Gran Turismo 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 came out, Twisted Metal Black, Onimusha Warlords, Ico, Rayman 2. Somehow Rayman got to come and double dip for both the first 2 PlayStation generations.
Why?
Soul Reaver 2, and then, some lesser known things that still just speak to the amount of like weirdness that this console encapsulates. Oni is one that I've always been super interested in. It was a weird action game that um, Rockstar published, but I think it was what's their name? I forget the studio's name. It's the Halo Destiny people.
Bungie.
Bungie. There you go.
Oh,
I don't know why that was escaping me, but yeah, they made an action game that
it's the
Rockstar published
marathon
back in the
people,
day.
guys. It's the
Yeah.
marathon people.
Klonoa 2, The
Yeah,
Bouncer, which was this weird Square Enix. It wasn't a very
yeah,
good game, but it was very emblematic of the culture at the time.
yeah. So true.
uh,
So true.
Zone of the Enders, which doesn't really matter on its own, but it came with a Metal Gear Solid 2 demo disc, and that's why everyone wanted this game. Uh, And then the things that are out of bounds that are substantial here is Metal Gear Solid 2 didn't come out until November that year, so it misses the mark. And then Final Fantasy X didn't come out until December. But
Jack
yeah,
1 was also that December as well.
yeah,
So that'll also just miss the mark. I think, again, the thing with the PS2 is, because what you have to remember here is it's like, and man, what I would do. I always notice that PlayStation as we get further down this line, the second year of PlayStation consoles is usually the year where it start like that is the year. Like, you know, we talk about like in the past we talked about like how, you know, that first year of Switch, what a year. What a first year.
Yeah.
For PlayStation 90% of the time, it's that second year. Cause it's
Yeah.
like when you think it's like you're, you know, we just stopped there with MGS2 that would technically fall into year two. Jack 1 that would fall into year two. Final Fantasy 10 would fall under year two. Sly 1 would fall under year two. Ratchet 1 would fall under year two. There's like
Yeah.
so many
It's
games that fall under year two.
crazy.
And
I
that's
think
not a
Kingdom
coincidence.
Hearts, I
Kingdom
don't
Hearts
remember where
is
it lands in the
2002.
calendar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is definitely a year two. It's just like there's something about the second year of PlayStation consoles that is just, even as we get to PlayStation 5, it'll, you know, Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok were year two games, where it's like, there's something about year two where it's just stuff always happens on year two. And a lot of the time, PlayStation likes to lead up with a softer year, but any year that has Grand Theft Auto 3 as a launch year lineup, where you've got to bear in mind, it's the only console that you can play this video game on.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, a groundbreaking video game for what the modern video game actually is. And it has a DVD player built into it, mate. I mean, come on. Come
Yeah.
on. What a, you know, what a console. No wonder the PS2, you know, managed to hold the greatest, you know, the best selling video game console of all time for so long. No wonder,
Yeah.
because when you go out of the gate running like that, yeah, you have a launch day that doesn't really have too many big hitters. Which, to be fair, that's always the smart thing to do. You never want to hit the ground running with like 5 games because you want 5 separate beats, right? You want to be able
Yeah.
to keep that.
Honestly, I think if you've got one big thing and then a couple of other things that for the people who might not be interested, you're probably fine.
And
And then
also, you don't want all these games that are must play titles and not enough consoles to get to everybody, you know, supply and demand. Um, but man, yeah. I mean, there's so many, you know, there's so many good games there that, you know, you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, hey, pretty solid lineup, you know, B tier lineup. Then you hear GTA 3 and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah.
Could you imagine if you got a modern console to launch with a GTA game in the first year? It never will happen unless it's GTA 5. That one will be there forever. But
Yeah, that one will just be packaged in with everything until the end of time.
I'm still a believer that even after GTA 6 comes out, there'll still be a PS6 version of GTA 5. I'm still a believer, dude. I'm still a believer.
Yeah. It'll be a
Um,
double pack for
what a great idea.
$200.
What a great idea. But yeah, I mean, to me, this is like an A tier lineup just because of, you know, again, GTA, you know, you've got that launch lineup. You've got quite a few interesting games there, you know, like Time Splitters and Rayman 2. You know, you've got your family game. Rayman 2 is a fantastic game, by the way. I know I was clowning on Rayman 1. Rayman 2 is like, might be the best Rayman game. It's either 2 or Legends. Like, it's one of those two. Like, fantastic little 3D platformer. And then, you know, wait a couple of months, get GTA 3. And then, if that's not enough for you, literally just outside of that 1 year window, just waiting on the cusp of it, you've got MGS2 for FF10 and Jack 1. Like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Come
Yeah.
on. Come
Dude,
on.
while I was looking at this and like I forget the exact figures, but looking at the amount of money that Metal Gear Solid 2 made with like the adjusted for inflation with it there, I'm like, whoo, Jesus.
No wonder the console took
But
off the way it did. Because,
yeah,
like, you've just got a string of games, and then you say going into 2002, Kingdom Hearts, Sly 1, Ratchet and Clank 1, you know? That's not even counting, like you say, all the RPGs and everything else that just kept on coming out of Japan, you know?
yeah. Oh,
The easy A
But
tier for me. That's an easy A
yeah,
tier launch.
yeah,
Yeah.
A tier. Honestly, for my own personal tastes, it hits S tier.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Totally.
like
I tend to agree. I tend to agree. It's what you want from a launch lineup. It's
yeah,
all like I say, it gets the ball rolling, and then once the trains left the station, dude, like the PS2 just kept on going and going and going and going, and that's exactly what you want. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. Moving on to the PlayStation 3.
oh Icarus, how you flew.
Yeah.
uh, do you have
So,
any memories of the PS3? This is an interesting
um,
question for you because
so
again, when the PS3 came out in 2006, we were still at 8 years old.
yeah, the
So to
PlayStation 3 was
me,
just kind of a nebulous concept for a little while. Like we got one in late 2008, which
yeah,
honestly feels like where it feels like where the generation actually started to me. Because like I don't know, I feel like um yeah. Also looking at what we got here, um, PlayStation specific output and whatnot, and that starts to become more important in defining why you should have this. Uh,
it's definitely a
honestly,
fumbly. Yeah,
didn't feel like we missed that much before we had it.
totally. I was, like you say, I was more than happy with the PS2. I was still having the time of my life with the PS2, really. Um, and because the PS3, by the time I got my hands on a PS3, wasn't backwards compatible with the PS2, I still was using my PS2 when the PS3 had come out. It was one of those things where you had both of them plugged in. Um,
Yeah,
because you were still using them. Yeah, I remember vividly. I got my PS3, well, our PS3 because it was for my dad and myself, in 2007. So it was Christmas 2007. So I remember getting it with quite a few games, but again, there even in 2007, there wasn't that much there to the point where I was still going back to my PS2 to play like PS2 games, like the Crash games and stuff like that, because there was only so much that I could play on on the PS3. Um, so yeah, what go through the spiel, Hunter? What were the dates? What were where we lying with the PS3?
all right. So the PS3 came out in Japan in November 11th of 2006. In North America, November 17th, so just 6 days later. And then Europe got it in March on the 23rd of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the launch lineup, the ones that we got here are Resistance Fall of Man,
That
Ridge
was a
Racer
launch game, wasn't
7.
it? I'm not doing it. No more. I can't do it.
Okay. Genji Days of the Blade, which sounds like just made up
Absolute classic,
nonsense,
dude. Absolute.
but
It's a
it's
prequel to
known for
Overwatch,
being
dude.
the
Prequel to Overwatch, dude. Yeah, yeah.
it's known for being the giant enemy crab game is why you might remember it.
Bro, I was 8. I don't remember anything.
No, I mean in the larger like the reasons people clown on the PS3 launch and whatnot with the Ridge Racer thing. The other thing was the giant enemy crab. Like,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I remember.
yeah.
I remember. Yeah, yeah.
And then another one there was Untold Legends Dark Kingdom, just as this other game
Again,
that came out
a
where,
bona fide classic.
yeah. So those were all the like November launch games, and then it was quiet on the front until 2007, where the two big first party outputs of 2007 were Uncharted Drake's Fortune in November, and
Mm-hmm.
then Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction in October.
Again, Insomniac carrying that first year of a console.
Yeah, yeah,
Who knew that would happen?
yeah.
Never repeated ever again. Also, I lied. I've just done a double check of one of the games that I got with my PS3. I was also a 2008 person, Hunter. I thought it was 2007. It wasn't. It was 2008 as well.
Oh,
So high five on that one. Because
nice.
Spyro Dawn of the Dragon was a PS3 game that came out in 2008. and I remember vividly getting that with my PS3. So there you go. Um,
And
Ratchet and
then
Clank
from
Tools and
here,
yeah. So hang on a sec. I'm not done because we have to talk about
okay,
Uncharted here,
okay,
Hunter. We have to talk
yeah.
about Uncharted and Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank Tools of Destruction, fantastic game, love it. Why? Why Insomniac have never done a collection of the future trilogy? I'll never know because they're brilliant. And again, Insomniac, absolute wizards. They always like even Resistance. Not my cup of tea personally. I was what 9, not really my bag, but my dad loved the original Resistance, so it's like fair play. And then Uncharted, hate that video game, but I don't hate it, but it definitely hasn't aged the best. But it was a game changer. It really, when it
Yeah, it
came
did
out, it
write
was a
the
game
template
changer.
for what PlayStation would continue to do since then.
And I don't, that you could be all kind of smug and sarcastic and go, "Hey, for the worst," what? But I'm like, it was revolutionary for
I
its
mean,
time, and it was
yeah,
very
it was
impressive for what it
yeah, it was
was.
good for what it was doing. And it's just, the problem isn't that they did that and
It's
then
that nobody else
continued
did.
to do it. It's the problem is that they haven't stopped with everything else that they make.
Yeah, but Uncharted really was it took a long time for the PS3 to try and find its footing, and it's like that was like the first domino in like 27 that needed to fall before the PlayStation 3 could start gaining some momentum again. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, what else happened from a third party standpoint?
Yeah, from a third party standpoint, 2007 is a pretty prolific year. It's just also you could play these elsewhere and sometimes even on previous generations, like not this specific example, but Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. If you want to talk about things that probably did change the industry for the worse, there you go.
Right, nah. I will not take Call of Duty Golden Age slander, Hunter. I'll not take it. I'll not take it. Um, there was definitely a period of time which all of my fellow Call of Duty historians will know. Um, it's from COD 4 in 2007 to Black Ops 2 in 2012, which a lot of people deem the golden age of Call of Duty, where it was like this perfect era where, you know, online gaming had taken off to a point where it was extremely popular. And it was like it coalesced at this perfect point where also the games were good. Like that was like the coalescence where it was like whether you hated them or not, people really enjoyed those campaign stories. They were really like, they were winning
Yeah,
awards. They were actually in high regard during that era. They were good games. If you didn't like Call of Duty,
yeah,
fair enough. It's slop, it's rubbish, do whatever you want. But they were good games. Now, yeah, they're awful. It's like they're critically and like personally terrible games now. Like you can't win.
yeah.
Um,
It's insane. Oh God,
but that
like
original Modern
seriously though.
Warfare, iconic. What have they
Yeah,
done?
I won't dispute that they had a good run for
Mm-hmm.
a while there. It's just also it enabled
Well,
them to
oh
rest on
seven to
their laurels.
2012, yeah.
Yeah, they've just been able to rest on their laurels for over 10 years now and will continue to do so probably until after we're dead.
It just makes me laugh that the golden era was 6 video games, and I think there genuinely has been like 11 or 12 since then. like
Yeah.
it's a third of the lifespan probably. I'd have to do a
And it's
count.
not and it's not like there seems to be like, like these weren't as good, but they're still solid. It seems like they just nosedived off into the dark ages.
Yeah. Infinite Warfare, World War Two, Black Ops. I'm trying to count. It's not going very well. Please pray for me. It is not going very well at all. Um, but yeah, it's like yeah, it's like 12 or 13 games now. It genuinely has been double the length of time. And I can tell you in that period
Yeah.
of time, there has probably been out of those 12 or 13, one, maybe two that have been good. And that's about it. And even then, there's an asterisk on it where it's like Black Ops 3 is an amazing game. if you're a fan of multiplayer and zombies. If you're a fan of campaigns, it's got the worst campaign. So it's like even then there's like a star on it where it's like actually, but it genuinely, you know, it's one of those few games. It's like that and Halo 2 that really shaped online multiplayer for consoles.
Yeah. Yeah, Halo 2 for sure at the very beginning, and this kind of got us to the step that Halo 2, Call of Duty, Fortnite probably are the three.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
Uh,
Well, you're not gonna shout out to like Team Fortress 2, Hunter. You're not gonna shout out Team Fortress 2. No
um,
Overwatch Game of the
not
Year
in
of
the broad,
2016
not
one.
not in the broader scope of what we're talking about. No,
Yeah,
but moving
no,
on to other third-party things here. Guitar Hero 3 and Rock Band were both in October and November of '07, respectively,
great games, but
where,
you can play
you
them
know,
everywhere else.
yeah, you could play them everywhere else, even on the PS2, where I played both of those while we had them.
Same. I played World Tour on PS2.
Yeah. Um, Assassin's Creed, the first one. So,
What a great
you know,
franchise, dude! What a great
humble
franchise.
beginnings of what would be another solid couple year run until the series nosedives off a cliff.
The only Assassin's Creed game that you cannot play on a modern PlayStation console. Give it up for Assassin's Creed. I'm still surprised they haven't remade it yet. I'm genuinely still surprised they
Yeah,
haven't remade it. And I think the only reason they haven't is because of where that game is set and the current climate.
yeah,
That's
that
definitely
I
why.
can see. I can
Um,
see how that would be a problem for them now. It's weird.
but I'm
It's still kind of weird that they wouldn't have done it before,
like
even.
6 years ago, 7 years
Yeah,
ago. They did the Ezio collection in like
yeah,
2050. They like straight away they're like bring it back, bring it back. So yeah, it's weird. But again, it's weird how a lot of modern publishers found their footing at the very start of the PS3 and have not moved. They have not moved a bloody inch since Hunter. They have not moved. They have
yeah.
stood
It's
their ground.
insane.
Call of Duty and
They
Assassin's
pretty
Creed. We're
much,
not moving. We're not moving. You can't make me.
yeah. It's it's like, for as good as it was at the beginning, they never moved forward, and it's become a blight.
A
Uh,
plague.
yeah. The other things include Armored Core 4 in March of '07, Elder
Hmm.
Scrolls 4 Oblivion also in March of '07, and probably not the best way to play the game.
In fact, I can tell you
uh,
for a fact it's the worst way to play that game.
those are like the big hitters as far as things that are, well regarded. Um, Heavenly Sword, a game that I haven't played, but I'm interested in eventually playing because it was
Hmm.
a Ninja Theory game well before they got famous for being past the Devil May Cry series for game. But
True.
I'd be
True.
interested in playing that one. And because we
Totally.
have to factor in the bad with the good sometimes, Sonic '06 hit the PlayStation 3 in January of '07.
Oh, feels bad. Sorry. That's crazy. Um, I think the problem with the PS3, and there were many problems with the PS3 launch lineup, was like you say, Hunter. Some incredible games there. Some games that defined the generation in a lot of ways very early on. The only issue is the Xbox 360 was already out at the time, had been out for a year, was $100 cheaper, and played the games better. And it's like
Yeah.
it's really
Also,
hard to say.
PlayStation's best game that year was God of War 2, which was a PS2 game.
Yeah, and it's like Ratchet and Clank, fantastic. I love Tools of Destruction, one of the most underrated Ratchet and Clank games in my opinion. But if you owned a PS2, you've already played 3 Ratchet and Clank games. 4 if you played Deadlocked. And, you're not rushing out to spend $600 to buy another Ratchet and Clank game
Another
that
one.
looks slightly shinier. And Uncharted is very, genre defying at the time, but again, it's like you're not going to go out of your way for one video game.
Yeah.
It's very difficult because the difference is you can make that argument of COD 4 is as huge for multiplayer as GTA 3 was for single player at that time. And I'm like, yeah, true, but you had another console of choice that you could pick. And it was a better console at the
Yeah.
time. Ignore the Red Ring of Death, but it was a better console for you to pick at the time because you could play Halo 2 and you could play a load of other stuff because the Xbox 360 had a year head start. You don't
Yeah.
have that anymore where it's like PlayStation 2 was the only place you could play most of its first year games. PS3 had 3 or 4 games that you could only play on PS3. Everything else you could either play on your PS2 or on 360 and where it would run better. So it's difficult, dude. It's difficult. Where would you put this lineup? It's like a C or something for me. It's like a low
Yeah, I
C.
think it's a C. And yeah, it's like a C. And if you were to be harsher about like what could be played elsewhere, you could make an argument for even going lower if you were to be
That's my
talk
thing
about
is
purely exclusives.
if you're talking about like if I was to pick up if I was, you know, uh if I was myself right now in 2006 at this age picking up a console, dude. You gotta think to yourself, right? It's like ignore the Xbox 360 because I'm gonna play it on PS3. There's still stuff there. I'm like, that's a C tier
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna sit there with a 360 already and go, okay, what's because most people, at least especially back in like 2006, 2007, would pick one console and stick with it. Nowadays, you have
Yeah.
gaming sickos who just buy every console. I mean, I'll put my hand up here, but gaming sickos that will buy everything and play everything on whatever they feel like it, or just play it on PC. Now you don't really, back then you
Mm.
didn't have that luxury. You were kind of, you put your coins down and you just hoped that it was a good investment, right? And I feel like you started decent and a spread of games there, but yeah, you really needed to you really needed to be committed to put that price down. Like, my God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have personally.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have right now yet either. Myself and as I am now in 2006, I'd be like, huh, I can wait. Like, I think that when we got our PlayStation 3, I think was a perfect time to get it.
Mhm.
That was when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. Devil May Cry 4 came out later in the year. It would have been out.
2009,
I don't remember. Yeah,
just saying, 2009 is an absolute banger year for video games because,
yeah, it
normies
is.
assemble. You get Uncharted 2, which is just better Uncharted 1. One of the two only good Uncharted games. um, Batman Arkham Asylum. What a
Yeah.
game. Like, it's like that's when the ball starts rolling on a lot of games where it's like, yeah, you can start to feel it.
That's
Because
why.
that later
Oh,
half, the
that's like
latter half
why
of that
when.
generation, what a generation. My
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah. It's like I remember when I finally got like the PS3 that was mine was like right at the end of 2012,
Hmm.
and that's when the rumors of the PS4 started. I'm like, well, that seems silly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's because by then it felt like they finally got going.
Hmm. Totally. Totally. Um, but yeah, it's a C tier for me, Hunter. It's a C tier for me.
Yeah, I am inclined to agree.
And you know what we call third place, Hunter, in this household? Second loser. And I don't think, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to remain second loser for long. uh, PlayStation 4.
All right, so the PlayStation 4. Um,
It was the generation to lose, Hunter. It was the generation to lose.
yeah, it sure was.
And PlayStation didn't.
So this one came out in North America first on November 15th, 2013.
That's a day after my birthday. Wow.
Came out a couple weeks later in Europe on November 29th in 2013. And then Japan got it on February 22nd of 2014.
Lol.
So this is the first sign of them just hard pivoting to the West
Dude, I
as far
remember
as
this. I don't know. This was the first console generation where I was very much aware. like I was in the zeitgeist, you know, where I was
Yeah.
watching E3 conferences up to it. I was watching press stuff. I was, you know, I've got like very vivid memories of watching like YouTube unboxing videos of the consoles and stuff like that before I had them. I remember watching randomly like Rooster Teeth, like the Achievement Hunter people
Oh
unboxing all
yeah.
their Xbox Ones like the week before the PlayStation 4 comes out. I've just got a vivid memory. Like, I've got a bit of an eidetic memory where I can remember like images. So it's like if I was to put the YouTube video up right now, I can remember the room that they're in and like everything that was happening at that time. Just because I remember
Yeah.
watching that video so much. Again, I'm never gonna buy an Xbox One, but I'm gonna watch it in the same way that I was never gonna buy a Wii U, but I watched Ashens unbox it when it came out. Like I'm just like I was in the weeds at that time. So it was like PS4 to me. It was just like it was the first generation where I truly felt invested in like making a choice and and being excited for it. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. 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 And they had a pretty solid offering the first year. Um, so at the 2013 launch in November, you had Killzone Shadowfall and
Hmm.
Knack as the two that were the like
What a
first party
game!
offerings.
Game of the
Yeah.
decade,
And
Knack, bro. Oh,
then other things just that you had traipsing around there. Assassin's Creed Black Flag
banger.
as one of the big third party things. Resogun was a Housemark indie game that was new at the time, which, solid, solid foretelling of the
Hmm.
relationship that would come to be with
Wasn't
their
it a plus
purchase.
game as well when it came out?
I do not know that. I didn't have the PlayStation 4 at the time.
I believe it was either just after or it was like within the first year. It was also a plus game because I have it. I own Resogun because it was a plus game.
Yeah,
Um,
all right, tracks out. And then you had other indie things like Sound Shapes was one that was listed there.
what a game,
Call
dude!
of
What a
Duty,
game!
Battlefield, The Usual Suspects, as I have it noted here.
Not a
Doing
game,
the
not a
research
game.
for
Fun
this
fact:
was,
that's the end of the golden age. Was the PS4 launch, so that was the first bad Call of Duty
yeah,
game. There you go.
yeah. So doing the research for this was funny too, because just going to Wikipedia and rolling down to where the PS4 starts to get like the games that were released there and whatnot. I was reminded of the existence of the Ouya.
Oh, classic.
You remember that thing? Because
Yeah, dude.
that was like games that were coming out for that were being listed next to things and the releases there, and I was like, oh, right, I remember the
Ooh,
idea
yeah,
of this.
yeah. It was certainly a choice.
So anyway, that was a solid offering for the beginning couple of months there, and then in
I mean, yeah.
2014,
Go for it.
uh, oh yeah, okay, then in 2014, the two big offerings from PlayStation themselves that year were Infamous Second Son in March, and then
Mm,
Little Big Planet 3 in November.
dude, Infamous Second Son. What a game, dude. What I genuinely think Infamous Second Son is slept on.
Underrated.
Underrated. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic video game. Um, it's also very weird because it's 2014. I want you to pitch this one through. It's 2014, and it's like Troy Baker has just had his kind of first year of kind of moving up to like Nolan North status because he just done Joel and he just done Booker in 2013.
Yeah.
And it's like you have got a game there where you've got Laura Bailey, Troy Baker, and God, who plays his brother Reggie? I'm just trying to Patrick. No, what's his Laura Bailey's husband? What's his name? And I can't. Travis
Travis
Willingham.
Willingham.
Yeah, all three of them just in a game like together straight away, and I'm like, damn, what a cast! What a cast!
Yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
crazy. I forget that Laura Bailey was the antagonist for that one sometimes. Or no, that was
uh,
the not she
not the
was
antagonist. She
Fletch. Never
plays
mind.
Fetch. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that game slept
Yeah.
on, dude. Yeah, People go, "Oh, the evil route makes no sense." I'm like, dude, the evil route
If
makes
they
no
don't
sense
play
in
the evil
any
route.
Infamous games. They're all terrible. In all the Infamous games, the evil routes are bad. Just
Yeah,
be a good person. That's what I'd like to say about that one. But it's so good, and it still is a such a good looking game. Still to this
yeah.
day, what a good looking game. Um, I know you're going to get through a load of third party stuff as well but before that, I just wanted to mention about the launch lineup is because I also very vividly remember this launch lineup because um, I've told the story on the podcast before about how my dad bought the PS4 and he just walked into a shop thinking, why not? Tries to get it and I'm like, yeah, but it comes with all the launch games or whatever. So my dad was like, guess we're having everything. So it's just like Killzone Shadowfall, pretty good. I think it's a pretty good game to be honest. It looked really cool, and Killzone was pretty solid. Um,
Yeah,
you had like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. What a game! Fantastic.
very good game.
That water, oh, good water, good water. That was
The
the first
last good
time where good
Assassin's
water.
Creed, some would say.
True, true.
Yeah,
Um, you also had like, there were Lego games and all sorts of stuff that happened. Call of
yeah.
Duty, like you say. But I think one thing you got to bear in mind is in the same way that we were saying for the PS3, that there were a bunch of games you could play elsewhere and they played better on Xbox 360 and it was cheaper. This generation, the Uno reverse card had been played and everything was running better on base PS4 compared to Xbox, and the PlayStation 4 was $100 cheaper. So it's just
Yeah,
like when you're thinking about all these games, it becomes even more of a no-brainer when it's like,
yeah.
oh, I can play Assassin's Creed 4 and it's got cool water that looks even better and it runs better on the
Xbox did
cheaper
not do
console.
themselves any favors leading up to the Xbox
They
One
stood on
either.
every
Like,
rake. Every
yeah.
rake.
You want to talk about vivid memories of being in the weeds of like game news at the time, in our
Yeah, yeah.
transition from middle to high school years or whatever. The how to share a PlayStation game
I
bit.
was shooing,
Yeah,
yeah. I can't remember what its
clowning
name
on the
is.
Xbox.
Yeah,
The E3 that year is one I specifically remember, and I'm like, yeah. And like
dude.
it's funny because my friends were all Xbox people. They still kind of remained Xbox people, and I was like, dude, like it was one of those things where even with the PS3, I'm like, dude, there's nothing that I actually care about over there. I don't really. Playing Call of Duty with you is not that appealing a prospect. I'm not going to ask for a second system.
You see, at the time, I had a PS3, obviously, I also had a 360, and a lot of my friends had transitioned to 360 or are playing a lot of 360 games. But everyone was always talking, we all played 360 because it was better for multiplayer and all that jazz. There wasn't PlayStation parties, there was nothing like that. So it was just a better system. But all of my friends on Xbox used to always be like, "Oh yeah, but PlayStation has the better exclusives."
Yeah.
Even back then, people like because Last of Us and stuff had come out, so everyone was like, "Play." So I just remember very vividly the E3 where you had, Andrew House standing out there and he's like, your physical games are physical games, like all that jazz, and it's 100 quid cheaper and stuff like that. And I just remember going to school on the following Monday, and it's like all of those Xbox people. Obviously, you still had Xbox people that would die hard and would ride or die. But if you were like me, or you were like a couple of my friends who really were like half and half, didn't really matter. I
Yeah.
was I was pretty tempted to go back to PlayStation because of the exclusives. But with all the online changes and stuff like that, literally all of my Xbox friends were like, "No, I think we're moving to play. Like, I'm gonna get a PlayStation because if the exclusives are there and it's cheaper." So it's like literally like all everybody that I play multiplayer games with moved over to PlayStation. It's like when Phil Spencer's always talking about that we lost that generation. I'm like, I know because I saw the normies migrate. It was like the Great Migration Hunter.
Yeah.
I saw the normies move in herds over the
It, it
fields.
and it
It
really
was
was like
crazy.
my friend still got the Xbox One or whatever to, you know, for whatever reason, because he's foolish, I suppose. But
Hmm.
um I was never interested in it, and getting the PlayStation 4, I believe I got one for Christmas at the end of 2014 was when I got mine.
Hell yeah. I was my dad had got a bit too excited, so it was Christmas of 2013 for me. I was very early.
Yeah,
Um but it was great. And there was still some third party games that you have not mentioned that we shall mention right now.
yeah. Getting there. One of the big ones by the time that I got mine was Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh, boo hoo.
You know,
They're only saying that because you're a Dragon Age fan. You're saying that.
it won Game of the Year that year. I had people at
Overwatch,
school talking to.
over, Overwatch won it in
I had people at
2016, mate.
school talking to me about it.
Sure you did. Okay, okay.
I was befuddled. Actually, I'm like, I didn't realize that people were gonna like this. Anyway, the actual first one I listed because I did a lot of this just off the dome until I had to check the dates. Transistor came out in May of 2014.
Ah, there you go. There you go. That's the real
The Evil
shill
Within in
behavior.
October.
Yeah. Oh,
Child
okay.
of Light. Child of Light in April.
In no
Valiant Hearts
particular
in
order.
June.
In no particular order. The order being in what Hunter cares most to least. There you go.
Yeah, and then you get no particular order because I stopped caring. Shadow of Mordor came out in September.
Yeah,
Alien Isolation in
yeah.
October. Very solid horror game there. Far Cry in November.
Far Cry 4,
The Wolf. Yeah, Far Cry 4.
banger. Best Far
Wolfenstein: The
Cry
New
game.
Order was one that came out in May, which is
Banger.
one that people really like. Uh,
Yeah.
um, Hohokum was one of those experiential indie games that came out
Yeah,
that
yeah.
year that I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then over on the bit of a yikes for releases that year, Watch Dogs in May.
Hang on.
Disappointed
Right.
just about everybody.
Yeah. Yes. It's a hard one where it's like good idea, bad execution. Watch Dogs 2, incredible video game. If every Watch Dogs game was Watch Dogs 2, what a world we'd live in. But unfortunately, only one of them is Watch Dogs 2. The other two, um,
Yeah,
I think it's like the problem with Watch Dogs. I think was the hype was too much, and in the end, it was just a Ubisoft game. You know what I mean? It's like you cannot,
the
everyone was
undoing of
expecting.
every Ubisoft game since Assassin's Creed
True,
4.
true, so true. But I still think, again, a bit overhated. I think Watch Dogs is fine. It's not fantastic, but it did the job. It did what it wanted to do.
Yeah. Other ones. This one, another Ubisoft classic, more for how it launched. Assassin's Creed Unity.
That was a year one. Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, that dude, I remember. The crazy thing about PS3 to PS4 was you get these trailers where it was like the Batman Arkham Knight trailer, the first trailer you saw of that, or the Assassin's Creed Unity, and you sit there and you go, how the hell is this working? There's no way that this is what the next game looks like. And in some cases, like Arkham Knight, that's what actually happened. And you got this incredible looking game that you're like, wow, that's unbelievable. And then those others like Assassin's Creed Unity, which unfortunately they did a leap of faith and there was no haystack. There was just a floor and
Yeah.
they just face
I
planted.
I had already fallen off the series by then, so really my only knowledge of it besides its setting is the person with like the floating eyeballs and the teeth but lacking the face.
I just remember finding an invisible tree and climbing up the invisible tree and sitting in the invisible tree and thinking to myself, how did nobody how did nobody in the Q just the QA department not find the massive invisible tree in the middle of the map? Like, you're just kind of vibing there. I think
Yeah.
the interesting thing about Assassin's Creed Unity is unlike Watch Dogs, where it was just, terrible execution in the end of the day. Assassin's Creed Unity on PC now, running really well with no bugs. It's kind of a shame because if that game had come out not as it did, like
Not
as it
broken.
not broken, I genuinely think it would be regarded as one of the best Assassin's Creed games. I genuinely do. It is just absolute disaster in terms of bugs, and yeah, it was just a mess. Dude. It was just a mess. Um, but in hindsight, the game itself is fantastic if you can play it on a PC that's now 10 years in the future with mods that fix a load of the issues.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And then my last little listing for the yikes section here was this is a personal one mostly. Murdered Soul Suspect was a narrative mystery game that was not very
yeah,
good, but I
no,
remember it catching my eye because it was like a mystery game and I like those, and it was early in the generation still when I had mine. I was like, oh,
totally.
what's this? And then it was not good.
I also just want to
Oh,
give it a shot. Yeah, go on.
uh, I didn't write this one down. I forgot to, but Destiny also came out in 2014
Yeah,
for those who care.
Loot Cave. Am I right? That wizard came from
Yeah.
the moon, and all those other good fun shenanigans. Um, and then on top of that, also to mention to Ubisoft, I'm not going to mention Rayman Legends because it came out the year before, so a PS4 port doesn't matter. Because otherwise, you'd be saying GTA 5 also got an enhanced port within
Yeah, I
year
left
one.
off things like
Um,
that.
but one Ubisoft game, my favorite Ubisoft game from that year that I wanted to mention, Trials Fusion, the best Trials game in my opinion. I love that game. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, the dirt bike game, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's the one set. I love that game. I put so many hours into Trials Fusion. It's fantastic. Um, so yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to that too. I'm not gonna lie to you, Hunter. I genuinely think just from the amount of stuff, like the amount of content that came out, it's such a solid lineup. Like genuinely, it's like there was no reason unless you were really hugely invested in the Xbox ecosystem as a fan to pick up an Xbox. Really, because PlayStation had everything and
Yeah,
more. Like
yeah.
legitimately.
Genuinely, like I don't. It was another thing. Like as far as like I listed off a bunch of indies there, and as far as I'm aware, there are several indies that generation that just didn't bother with Xbox
Hmm.
because there wasn't really a reason to.
Totally.
Because
Yeah.
less people were going there, and the people that weren't going to pick up indie games on average.
Well, PlayStation had a massive indies program in the early
Yeah, that too.
PlayStation 4 generation. So a lot of indies on PS3 and PS4 kind of came over because of that program. So it's interesting because Xbox kind of started it with the Xbox Arcade, and then
Yeah,
Nintendo was trying to do it with the Wii Shop, and then PlayStation was like the last to the party, but they kept it going for the most of the PS4 generation. So it's like a lot of indies just kind of it's weird. Indies have kind
yeah,
of migrated between the platforms, and it kind of went Xbox to PlayStation to Nintendo Switch. Like that's kind of where the indie kind of
yeah, pretty much.
migration has gone. But yeah, I mean, to me, I think it really is a solid like, especially if you know, if you then include, like I say, if you didn't have a PS3 or anything, you include there were so many ports of PS3 games
Yeah,
that
there were
came
so
out.
many like collection things where it was like if you didn't get this, here's your chance to get it on the thing that so you don't have to.
Last of Us remastered,
Yeah,
I don't think Bioshock actually came out within year one, but Last of Us remastered came out during year one. You had just like GTA. You had so much stuff
yeah,
that you could go and pick up. To me, it's like this is how you do a launch.
yeah,
I don't think there is any part of it really, especially from their point of view. They can't foresee that Watch Dogs will be terrible. It's not their job to make
yeah,
Watch Dogs a
yeah.
good
It's
game.
not like yeah, they did their job as best they could.
Killzone Shadowfall is a decent day one exclusive, especially when you realize that Call of Duty and everything else would be out the first day as well, so it didn't really matter. Fair enough. Infamous Second Son, I think is fantastic. Little Big Planet
Yeah,
3 isn't the best. It's actually the worst Little Big Planet game, and it's very buggy, but it was there, and there was a ton of other stuff. So go play Rayman Legends if you want a platformer. There's plenty of other stuff. Um, I'd give this a solid A, like genuinely
yeah,
a solid
a
A. I think the only reason
very
it's not an
solid one.
S is just because first party. If you wanted a bit more of an, you've literally just got Second Son, really.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'd give. Like I say, you got Last of Us Remastered, you got Nathan Drake Collection, but if you're moving from PS3 to PS4, you've really just got Second Son.
Yeah.
That's the only nick I'll give it. Which leads us to the final one
To
for
the
now, Hunter. For
the
now,
final
until
one for now.
2027.
Oh God. Ugh. Dude, genuinely. Push that back like 3 years.
No, you cannot stop it, dude. Mark Cerny is too busy coding all of the gigaflops right now. I also
They
don't know why I said giga like jigger. I don't know why, but
uh,
the
yeah.
tetraflips, the
Yeah.
googly woogs, dude. You don't know what to call them.
Like genuinely with the way that people feel about both
Yeah.
PlayStation and Xbox right now, they should wait with the current consoles. They should make it like the Switch where people are sitting there foaming at the mouth for a new one. Just so that they can then, complain about it being a mediocre launch year anyway.
I also realized
Ah,
why I said it like that. Back to the Future. You know, when you just do
oh,
random little things in your head and you're like, why do I do that? And then I'm like, oh, it's just because I'm a walking reference little shill hunter. And I'm like, how Doc Brown says gigawatts. Like, that's how I was like in my head. I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, that's where I got it from. I was like, where did I get that from? There you go. Yeah. Feeling old yet, kids? We're now talking about a console that came out during this podcast. There we go.
Yeah.
Yay.
PlayStation 5 released November 12th in 2020 worldwide. No regional differences. Just that was the singular day.
That's not true. That's not true. It came out a
Really?
week later in Europe.
Did it?
Yep.
Huh. Wikipedia is a liar.
Go back to the episode on the podcast because if you remember correctly, there was a. Do you not remember this, Hunter? Where there was a week where I had a copy of Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, but I couldn't
Oh,
play it because
that's
the
right.
console wasn't out.
Yeah, you couldn't play it yet. We gave the impressions while you were just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, on my
It was very
birthday.
funny.
We recorded it on my birthday that year. So yeah, it was very weird where America and Japan got it November 12th, and then we had to wait to November 19th. For some reason, Europe and Australia were a different date for some reason. So yeah,
Super weird. Anyway, so the big they had a fairly decent output for like the beginning here. Demon Souls was like the lone thing that could only be played on the PS5.
true.
Uh, but you also had things that
Unless
were
you have
on
a
both. But
PS3, am I right, fellow gamers? Cheers for that
yeah, yeah,
one.
you had things that were on both, but were still new at the time of launch, like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Sackboy: Big Adventure.
hmm
Oh, right, Astro's Playroom came with the PS5
The
inside
only
of the.
exclusive that matters, dude. The only exclusive that
Yeah,
matters.
exactly.
And it was free.
For free. Bug Snacks.
Oh, what a game. What a game.
And then within the same couple of days, or you had the cannibalization of Ubisoft yet again with Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion.
Bro, I genuinely could not. Which one is the bigger war crime? I'm actually just trying to think right now of which one's worse. I think it's Watch Dogs because the main, like,
It caused you
Assassin's
property
Creed's.
damage.
That's true. Assassin's Creed's main kind of crime is that it's so long and boring, whereas Watch Dogs Legion is shorter, but it's also bad. So I guess that it's like,
Yeah.
and it broke my controller. That is true.
Yeah.
My brand new PlayStation 5 controller didn't last
And
long
then
with Watch
before
Dogs
the end of
Legion.
the year, Ubisoft completed the Trinity with Gods and Monsters in December
Oh
of
yeah, Immortals
2020.
Phoenix. Hey, I'll give them this. Immortals Phoenix Rising, after actually playing it, it's not a bad game. It's actually pretty good. I'm sad that they cancelled the sequel. It genuinely...
Uh,
Was it a Breath of the Wild clone? Yes. But was it actually rather good? Surprisingly, yes, it was rather good. It's a shame that they never got a chance to double down on it and see what they could do. Like, the potential was there, I feel, which is a bit of a
yeah.
shame. But it was definitely the best of the three, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
moving on to 2021,
Mhm.
the big first party output for that year would have been Ratchet and Clank, and then uh, I've got Returnal categorized here too because of what happened later. Even though technically they weren't purchased yet, it was still a big kind of
No, it was
partnership
right.
deal exclusive.
It was a first party game. It's like
Yeah.
that Sony had very clearly come out and said that in the same way that Sackboy of Big Adventure was a first party game, Sumo Digital not owned by PlayStation, obviously, but they were
Yeah.
like, if we're giving you money to make an exclusive, which yes, we don't own you, but it's a first party game because we're paying you to make this video game just for us. So yeah, I count it as a first party game for sure.
Yeah. So those were the two big ones in the year as far as that goes. And then
Both
as far
early
as
as well.
yeah, both in the first half of the year. Returnal in April, right at the end of April there, and then Ratchet in late June.
Well, one thing you do have to remember is Horizon very clearly got delayed out of the year.
Yeah, yeah, they wanted it to
It
be
was very clearly going to be an October or November game, and it got pushed out to the following
pushed
February.
out to be once again overshadowed by a generational classic.
What's really funny is if it had come out in that September, it would have been going against Deathloop, so it would have been great. Imagine, dude.
Yeah,
Imagine
yeah,
the world.
Horizon would have absolutely just washed whatever ideas people had about Deathloop away.
Honestly, like my goodness, it genuinely it would have had a good shot at winning some like more awards if it came out in
Yeah,
2021.
I
To be
think it
honest.
might. Yeah, it would have had a. I definitely would have been going into the Game Awards thinking that it was going to be the winner.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But
But
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Yes, there were only two games, but you also, like I say, you had three at launch, four if you, sorry, Astro's Playroom, 17, might as well be. Um,
yeah,
but you know, you had at launch Demon Souls, Miles Morales, Astro's Playroom, and Sackboy. Yes, two of those you could play on PS4 if you wanted to, but if
I did
like a
play
lot of
Miles on
people,
PS4.
yeah, but if like a lot of people, you were already planning on getting a PS5, then you know, it's a PS5 game. You can have a fun time with it. You know what I mean? You're not going to complain
Yeah,
that there's a PS5 version. I
yeah,
sure as hell didn't. I had a great time. Um, so you know, four at launch, then two the following year that definitely were PS5 exclusives in Returnal and Ratchet and Clank. Two
yeah,
excellent PS5 exclusives.
yeah. Returnal is in the top two of PS5 exclusives still, as far as consoles are concerned. Anyway.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? Is it's like as far as I'm concerned, it's like my top three favorite PS5 exclusives from Sony right now are Astrobot, Returnal, and Death Stranding 2. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh no, maybe. Well, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I was gonna say, ooh, maybe Horizon Forbidden West, but no, that was on PS4, so that doesn't even count as part of this conversation.
Same with God of War.
Same with
Like,
God of War,
yeah,
and then Spider-Man 2 would probably be number 4. Um,
yeah,
but it's like, yeah, what a what a pair of games. I love Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's very much, it's not my favorite Ratchet and Clank game. It's very well made. Um, can't complain. I liked it quite a bit. But Returnal's fantastic. What a great little game. Can't wait for
yeah.
Saros. Man,
Oh, dude, can't wait.
what a time that'll be. But
I
yeah.
think the thing that's interesting here is that it did kind of just foretell the pace at which PlayStation was going to continue to release games all generation until this year, where they only released Ghost of Yotei.
Yeah. Um it's wild to me where it's like this is where we're at. Like genuinely, like this
Yeah,
is where we're at. Cause remember when it was like I just remember where it's like back to back to back to back, where it's like, you had God of War, then Spider Man, then Days Gone, and then it was like, you had like this kind of roadmap of like you had like and middle and smaller games like Concrete Genie and Dreams that would just kind of flow in and out. This kind of
yeah,
ebb and flow state of having games coming out. And now it's like, yeah, you'll get probably like one a year. Like next year you'll get Saros and you'll get or this year, whenever this
Wolverine.
podcast goes out. Um,
Mm.
who knows? Um, you'll have Saros and Wolverine, and that's probably it. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a shame. I wish there was something else. But hey ho, there you go. In terms of third party, what else have we got, Hunter?
I was able to do most of this off the dome because I was just like, what did we talk about
Just go
that
through the
year?
podcast season, dude. What did
Yeah,
we talk about from
basically.
season 1 and
So
2 of the HGO podcast?
so right after Returnal, we got Resident Evil Village, which was well liked by plenty of
That's
people.
crazy to think that was year 1 of
Dude,
PS5. That
that's
is
insane, right?
mental. Yeah.
Um, wait, one of the next things that I thought of was Tales of Arise, which was my favorite game that year. Uh,
Was Scarlet
came out in
Nexus year 1?
Scarlet Nexus was year one. Came
Oh,
out
goodness
same
gracious.
day as Mario Golf. Was the
Oh,
double header of the podcast that
the
week.
horror.
um, Chicory: A Colorful Tale isn't one. It was one that I got to later, but I really like that game and wish I had played it when it came out.
Yeah, yeah.
Hitman 3 was the big sleeper the big sleeper of the year. I
What a
remember
game.
when we got to the year-end awards for our own show that time, we were like, we haven't played it yet, but this is the most underrated game of the year.
Dude, what a game, man. What a game.
Yeah. Came out in January that year. Life is Strange: True Colors. September.
So far, the only good Life is Strange game of the generation. You'll have to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It Takes Two in March.
Banger.
Psychonauts 2 in August.
What a game. What a game.
Yeah. Guilty Gear Strive came out. I think it came out like, if not the same day, like the same week as Ratchet, because we talked about both of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
on that episode. Lost in Random was a fun little adventure game that I liked that year. Death's Door had like a period of exclusivity on Xbox, but it still made it to the end of the year in November here.
Classic.
Chris Tales in July was another one that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, yeah.
Kena Bridge of Spirits, another solid one in September. And then there was also Deathloop in September.
Deathloop still might be my
Mhm.
biggest disappointment of the generation. It genuinely still might be there. And I don't mean that from a fact of I've not played, like, it's not the worst game I've played of the generation by far, but the premise was so good. And those first 1 or 2 trailers were so good. And then when I got it, and
And
it
then they
was
kept
nothing like it
going
was,
with the
yeah.
trailers too.
And it was nothing like I wanted it to be. It's still it still is like my biggest disappointment because I still think that from the premise there is a good game that is to be made from that premise. But
Yeah, I do think it's a
alas,
good premise. And like you said, I think more than like my biggest disappointment of the generation, it's like probably the closest equivalent to like the Ghost of or Ghost of Tsushima of this generation for me, where I like it fine, but a lot of people at the time liked it way more.
you see, I don't know, Hunter. I like to think that, we here at the HGO podcast always have the correct opinions because it seems like
It's
even if
true.
at the time people bash us for being overly negative or positive, when it comes back to being a year or 2 later, people will come back and have the exact same opinion that we had. It's like we're just honest enough to
They
have it in the
booed us
moment.
before we spoke the truth.
Yeah, we're just honest enough to have the actual opinion in the moment instead of pretending one way or the other and then coming back and looking at it in retrospect. Dude, I don't need retrospect. I know if it's good or bad
Yeah.
when I play the damn game. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, I just didn't jive with it. Obviously, you've got to remember you also had all of your, like, including launch, you had all of your triple A slop, your usuals, your Call of Duties,
Yeah.
all of your usual gubbins. I think the big difference here, and it's like it's like a halfway house here, Hunter, isn't it? You also had a bunch of PS4 games that just got updates.
Yeah.
So you could play games better on PS5. A lot of PlayStation 4 exclusives just got like a uncapped frame rate and stuff like that you could mess around with. But it was backwards compatible, so you didn't have this kind of influx of re-releases because you could already play the old games.
Yeah, yeah, which was nice. Like,
Some people tried.
even though,
Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But yeah.
like even though, what was it? I think the first game I properly played that was, a new release after I had gotten my PlayStation 5 was Persona 5 Strikers,
Oh
which
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have like a PS5 version or anything, but I still just played it on there.
No,
I
but it
think
did.
it might have had
It
like,
ran better. It ran better.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you just got inherently better performance even on your PS4 games, which was a nice little fact. I just think, you know, what that year it was pretty good. Again, I'd say it's what you want, right? I'd say the third
yeah,
parties weren't as there as the PS4, but you had a couple of more exclusives. So it kind of
yeah.
counterbalanced it. I'd give it another like A. I'd say it was solid. It was pretty solid. Maybe a B if I'm feeling negative towards Deathloop for some reason. You know how it can be. But yeah, I think overall not bad at all. But yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. What is your favorite launch generation? I don't know. It's a hard one. Um, for me, I'd have to say, was it PS4? It might be PS4. I don't know. You back with us yet, Hunter? He's died. He's gone into the ether, by the way, again, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes Hunter just doesn't know how to use his ears. But no. Let us know what you guys think. What is your favorite generation of PlayStation from the launch lineup? Let us know. And hey, it's going to be whatever you pick. As long as it's not PS3, it's fine by me. Hunter, you back?
Yeah,
What's
I
your
am.
favorite?
Yeah.
If
I
you had to
still
pick
got to
one,
go with for what it meant to how my tastes would evolve as I got older. It would be the PS2.
that's
Mm.
fair. That's fair. I think for me, just because it was the first one I got to experience properly, my voice is going. Oh no, is
Mhm.
it's got to be PS4 for me personally, just because that's the one that I got to experience for the first time, and I felt like I was a part of it,
Yeah,
which
that's
is always
fair.
a cool feeling. But hey, all I know is PS3, you're definitely in last place, which now makes
Yeah.
you fourth loser. Congratulations. Um,
Don't
anyway,
worry. In a couple of years, you'll have a friend.
hey, you don't know the PS6 might have a banger lineup, dude.
Maybe.
Dude, the PS6's lineup is literally just going to be here are all the PS5 games you thought you'd have by now. Here you go, dude. They'll still have PS5
Yeah.
versions, but you know,
Yeah. And they'll be like, you better buy it now because we're gonna increase the price by $100 in a
links are on screen
year.
right now. Yeah, I will. I will buy it at launch, Hunter, because I'm buying it for the cheapest available price. Because that'll be when it's the
Yeah.
cheapest. Because we love the economy in this modern age. It's great.
Dude, if they walked on stage and were like, we're bringing back the PS1 for $200. Here you go. I'd be like, perfect. I'll buy
Dude,
one.
yeah, that's the thing is, it's like, it's just going to be really depressing when it's like, here's a PS6, it's not going to get any cheaper, and here's a PlayStation Portable, it's just a PS5, and it's like, oh, great, wonderful.
Yeah, and it's like I have zero inclination to ever buy one of their portables. Dude, I don't it's complete the portable thing where it just plays your console games as far as you know what PlayStation and Xbox are trying to achieve. Completely
Mm.
lost on me. I have
I don't know.
zero inclination to play them like
I
that.
don't know, dude. I feel like, by the time the PlayStation 6 comes out, I'll be 30 years old. Maybe at
Yeah.
some point during that generation will be that point in my life where I finally reach what all these people for the past 10 years have been making these PS4 games about being a dad about, where maybe I will have to, at some point, turn the TV off and play on a handheld like these 40-year-old weirdo gamers apparently have to do. So you never know. Maybe. But right now, I don't care. I'll just use a TV like a normal person. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's
No
what I'm
issues for me.
saying. It's like my commute. I have to drive, so I don't have a bus. I have to drive. I can't play a game while I
Yeah.
drive. So,
And like I say,
you know.
don't have a kid, so that's not my problem. And all I'm saying is, it seems like all these modern parents anyway, Hunter, just giving them an iPad anyway. iPad kids, give them the tablet. Still my TV. There you go, Timmy.
Yeah,
have
that's
the
what I'm
tablet.
saying.
Have the tablet. Rot your brain. I've got to play Ghost of Tsushima 3. Oh, God, imagine. Hunter didn't like that little analogy because it mentioned a Ghost of Tsushima 3.
Oh no, I was going through. I was
else.
like, what would be the best way to say Ghost of Tsushima?
Nah, probably. That's probably the best, yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, lovely. Or Ghost
Tsushima
of Yo
works
Trace.
There you go. They should have just made it the Yote 3 and the Yo Trace.
Yeah, the Yo Trace. That would have worked, yeah. Anyway, I digress. That's all for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'm wrapping it up before my voice kaputs. But thank you ever so much for listening and watching. We'll be back, same time, same place, next week for more. If you enjoyed, hey, maybe hit that subscribe button, maybe leave us a like, and hey, a 5-star rating on podcast services would be greatly appreciated as well. We'll be back next week. But hey, until then, have an awesome week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.